Good evening, everybody, and welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Hey there, Da Vinci, Bearded Printer, how's it going? Wilk Allen. All right, guys, what do you think? New shirts. This is a extra large. So uh, we do have the logo on the left breast. So that adds some more to the queue of things that we've got on the store. The shirt itself is, I'll say, a little bit heavier than like the normal, I'll say like the lightweight heathered type shirts, or lighter weight heathered shirts. So pretty nice. It's not as heavy as some shirts that I've had. I think like the LDO and the part of 3D shirts feel heavier to me than this one does. Hey, Mr. Wizard, your shirt came in today too? Awesome. Yeah, mine came in yesterday. The logo looks awesome. I'm curious to see how the logo holds up over a couple of washes. You still have no cookies. How do you not have cookies? Oh, you're replying to Bearded Printer. I'm like, uh-oh. Happy Tuesday, Liz. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. Yes, shirts came in. This is the charcoal gray one. I do have the black one downstairs. I'll wear probably Thursday. So yeah, we got coffee cups, we got water bottles. You know, we got a light mode and a dark mode. I haven't gotten a light mode in one of these yet. Maybe on the next order when I get stuff. You know, coffee mugs. You've been talking about cookies for 24 hours and still no cookies. You're having breakfast for supper. Okay, well, I ordered, and I told myself I wasn't going to do pizza again, but I ordered Domino's pizza and I got some loaded tots. And I got the, because I figured the pizza I'll eat over a couple of days anyhow. But the loaded tots, I got the Philly steak loaded tots. Cheddar cheese, Philly steak, onions, peppers, and then they, for whatever reason, they add Alfredo sauce. I said, no Alfredo sauce. Don't want that. They put it on there. So I ate around the edges and took a picture. I'm going to go complain. But yeah, I had to wolf it down real fast too because they took a while. Take up witchcraft. Are you sure? Well, I was gonna almost dug a hole there, Bearded Printer. So since the last stream, a couple of things came in. One of which being the second Orbiter 2, which I have installed on the printer. So tonight we'll be installing the Orbiter 2 smart sensors. Yeah, we'll be installing these. We'll have to fabricate the cables because we didn't buy them from RatRig. If we bought them from RatRig, they would have the right size cables. We also, in order to install those, we needed some 16 mil standoffs. We got a package of those in. So I need 2 standoffs. I think it was 150. No, 120. So I'll have 118 if anybody needs a 16 millimeter standoff. Yeah. So if you remember on the last stream, we started chasing some things when we were trying to reconfigure. And over the last 36 hours, I've been beating my head up against that brick wall to the point where I believe I completely reformatted and overwrote the SD card for the Raspberry Pi. I kept trying and trying and trying to update the Octopus board, could not get it to reflash. So I had a spare octopus board. I just took that and directly connected, disconnected everything, directly connected it to the Pi, boom, it flashes. And I'm like, okay, it's flashed, great. So I take that board and I painstakingly undo, I undo all the electrical connections at the bottom for the power. I switch all the motor wires over, kind of let it hang by the motor wires, take the board out, pull that to the left, mount the other board that I had previously flashed, basically bench flashed it, plug in all the other cables, and it's not seen by the Raspberry Pi. And I'm like, the Raspberry Pi just saw it. It just flashed it. It just was talking to it. Why is it not being seen? So let's just say I may have swapped boards back and forth 3 times, which is the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Reflashed on the bench. I had everything talking on the bench without without anything connected to the Big Tree Tech board, to the point where it comes up and it shuts down with an ADC error, right? Because there's no thermistor. So I'm like, it's there, it's working, that's great. Swap everything out, cable everything back up again. It won't talk to the octopus. Couldn't get the octopus to flash via SD card either. So then I'm like, okay, this thing was working. Let me take out cables that I installed, right? So any of the cables going to that board, to the octopus board from anything that we installed. So everything in the VAOC stuff, except for the camera itself, which is USB, because that was being detected. Yeah. So the issue, let me go full screen here. Is this cable right here. If you look at this cable, this side over here, white, black, red. Look at the orientation. Look at this side of the cable, going left to right. Red, black, white. This cable is made so that, let me double check that real fast. This side goes into the end stop on the VOC pod at the center rear of the bed. This side of the connector goes into the board. If you plug them in the reverse order, you have now sent 5 volt down the signal pin to the end stop. And apparently the board doesn't like that. So what happened is I plugged this side into the end stop, or I plugged the wrong side into the end stop. So when I went to plug it into the board, remember I repinned things so it lined up with the color scheme of the other end stop that we had in there. Didn't even think about looking at the other end of the cable. Luckily, taking that back out, taking the end stop off, pinning the end stop. The end stop is all good. And by pinning, I mean probing the end stop. It's all good. I got the wires in there correctly, and bada bing, bada boom. Oh, not that. If I come in here, and this won't work because I don't have it turned on, but, and I'm not going to turn on, but it's working now, right? I see it. Hey, Eagle, how's it going, buddy? So that's good. It's back up and we're back into a good state. So where does that leave us off? Well, We're going to have to go through the rest of the commissioning guide, and I'm not sure if I have to take the bed out to do that, because if you remember when we commissioned originally, it said don't have the bed on, don't do this. So we'll have to figure that out because this is an upgrade, not a fresh build. And I am not going to take the bed out of this. The next thing, back down to regular size. Before we actually get into doing any of that, we need to install the RatPack and our orbital sensor. So we're going to start with installing the orbital or the orbiter smart sensor. And once we get these done, then we will go in and build the RatPack and install it, or maybe we just start without having the RatPack installed. The RatPack is not going to be like, we don't have to have that there to do any commissioning or testing or anything like that. It's a HEPA and carbon filtration system, right? The features that the smart sensors are going to give us is filament auto load. So as soon as you put the filament in, it detects it and it will start to load it, heat the hot end up, and load the filament to the nozzle. Filament tangle detection. So that means it's trying to pull, but it's not seeing filament travel. So it's going to assume that there's a tangle on the roll and do a stop pause. Filament runout sensing. Once again, the end of the spool runs out. It will go into a pause situation, move off to the side, and wait for you to intervene and add more filament. And then the filament unload action button. This is why I think every orbiter ever sold should just come with this sensor from the get-go. And especially if you're taking it to shows. The ability to walk up to that printer and not have to hit a bunch of keys on the front panel or remote into it or anything. You just walk up and you hit a button at the top of the extruder and it kicks off a macro that will heat up the hot end, do a little bit of purge RAM, and then eject the filament. Is amazing. So I love that, and every orbiter that I have in the shop now has one of these or will, because whatever I put the orbiter to that we took off this printer is going to get one. But sensor guide here is going to be fairly easy and straightforward. We're going to need the sensor itself, which it's nice because that comes pre-built. You don't have to try and install the circuit board and all that because it was such a tight fit. People were afraid that they were going to break the PCB trying to get it in there. So the fact that it comes fully built like this is great. An M3x25 button head screw, which is included in the kit or in the box. An M3 washer, also included in the box. And then the M3x16 hex spacer that we ordered. So we now have everything that we need to do this. And that's pretty much it. We're going to start by tearing the tool heads apart again. So let me jump over here to this view. Might need to pull the camera around some to give you guys a better view of what we're doing. By the way, for those that want a close-up of the shirt, there's the shirt with the new logo. Oops. So fits well. This one has not been washed. I got them in and I decided to wear one real fast for the stream. So I will let you know how much it seems to shrink in the wash. This is an extra large. For those of you that know me and have seen me, you will have some semblance of an idea of how that will fit on you. Everybody doing good? Kind of quiet. Or did I just go into ranting teaching mode and everybody's like, hey, cool. Off making dinner or something. Figure Pez Liz should be out there making cookies. Hey, Papa Bear Yellnats, thank you for the tier 1 subscribe. I appreciate that. Okay, so we need to remove the top right M3 button head screw as it will not be used. In order to get the right hand screw out, we need to take our tensioning screw out. So we'll take these out, and I'm going to do both of them side by side. Set that down there. That one down there. So now we can open the doors, and now we have access to this rear screw. Sounds good, Eagle. Hey, Keela's Way, how's it going? I do have merch now. I've got coffee mugs. This is a 20 ounce. This thing is about like a Yeti in an open cup. And it's got the logo on both sides. So light mode, we've got 12, 15, and 20 ounce mugs. Dark mode, we've got 12 and 15 ounce. And Papa Bear, this is my RatRig V-Core 4 300 that we are converting to IDEX in this stream series. We also have 20 ounce water bottles. This is dark mode. We do have light mode as well. That's only on one side. Really good. Keeps our drinks nice and cold. And then we got the new shirt in and fits well. This is an extra large. It fits really well. It's a little bit heavier than some of the shirts, but I do like it. It should wear pretty well. My only concern, excuse me, is kind of the logo here. If you look at it, it almost looks like an old iron-on versus a pure silk screen. Definitely not embroidered. So, you know, how does it hold up in the wash, right? That'll be the big thing over time. You did make supper? Nice, Liz. As you said, what are we having? I had some pizza that I should have known better and not had. So we're going to pull this right-hand screw out. And we're going to set these aside because I don't think we're going to use these. We're going to replace these with a different size screw. We'll remove that from each side. Remove the left M3 button head by 5 to 8 millimeters. So that's the little one down here. It says to remove it, not completely pull it out, or loosen it, not completely undo it and pull it out. Honestly, it might not be bad to do that. Remove the retaining clip and the PTFE locking mechanism. So the retaining clip is our little orange or green clip there. I'm going to set that down. And we need to take this clip out. See if I can do this or if I'm going to peel back a nail in the process. All right, that came out. This one I've got to remove the PTFE tube out of. There we go. So there's the retaining clips and these clips. We're not going to need these, so we'll put those to the side. It's Taco Tuesday. You know what? I actually drove out and went to Taco Bell last night. It was all about bad decisions over the last couple of days, and Taco Bell was a horrific decision. Little tortillas with guac, hot sauce, and eggs. Nice. And iced coffee. Yeah, I did. So Taco Bell has standard, like regular black coffee or Cinnabon coffee. I got the Cinnabon coffee. It was supposed to be hot. They brewed it, and it was at best room temperature. Very, very disappointing meal all the way around. Thank you for the follow, the Bud Lab CA. How's it going? Welcome in, my dude. Welcome in. Or I say my dude. Welcome in, friend. Hey, K2, how's it going? Taco Tuesday. I had a flaxseed wrap with some steak, black bean, cabbage salad, and special cheese. Don't think I want to know. In a flaxseed wrap? Like, what are you trying to do, Kevin? Be healthy? Hey, Timor, how's it going? We were close to doing Taco Tuesday, well in the neighborhood of it, and had nachos instead. I know cheese sticks that taste like cheese gum. That doesn't sound appetizing, K2. Hey, AFM 380, how's it going? Toddler cheese. Yeah, Timor, Team Dragon. Here's the new shirt. So you have the new shirt. This is the charcoal. I also have one in black that I'll wear on Thursday. So, oh, and by the way, while I have you guys here and you can't see my entire head, so I'll just switch it back this way and you just hear the talking head. I may not be streaming Saturday. I may instead be helping Ecovate move from their old building into their new digs. I missed out on trying to help them paint and get the big open area ready because of COVID. And so I think I'm going to go over Saturday and possibly some on Sunday and help them move everything into their new building, especially since one of my printers is going to go live in that building at some point. Okay, now it wants us to remove the tool boards or the tool board screws. We don't need to remove anything off the tool board. All we're trying to do is get access to the screw that's holding the spacer here. So all we're going to do is reach around and undo the 4 bolts holding in each tool head. These are M3x8 screws. And that will let us remove the tool head and just let it dangle behind by the wires. All right, great. Black screw on a black plate. There we go. Get the 2 bottom ones out of the way. I'm gonna wind up dropping that one too. And now you should be able to pull that board out and away some. especially, you know, if you don't have 4 zip ties holding everything in, you'd be surprised. So I'll have to snip the zip ties again. You can try and reach in there with a, whatchamacallit, with a, I'll say a round over bit. And by round over bit, I mean a ball end hex screw, which will most likely round over the inside of your screw and make it useless. Or you can just, you know, waste a handful of zip ties, because if you've built printers in any number, you would know that you would have about 3 to 5 pounds of zip ties sitting around. Okay. You have. Trying to blindly reach around so I don't get in front of the camera, but I'm going to have to. Where are you at? And actually, I just removed those boards, and the thought that I did not think of. Now we'll follow the instructions, right? We'll follow the instructions. Why not? So let me put the 4 zip ties up here that are holding the wires. I have not tried printing zip ties, but I'm sure that you can. Ooh, mango margarita. That's no like tums. Exactly Keela's way. Did you have magenta with your flax crap? Oh, Pez, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, yep. I have not tried printing zip ties, but I know that you can. I probably wouldn't print these thin ones. If I did, I would probably print like some larger ones that you would use outside or on larger projects, just because I think there would be more plastic put down. And it'd probably be a better print overall. So with those, these boards should be able to flop around some so that you can get to the back side and undo the bolt holding in this spacer. And then the spacer's turning on you. Good God, what is going on here? Here we go. Wonder. Okay, so spacer's out. And drop PM 3x8 right there. So we'll put that right down there for later. So one spacer out. Now I'll come over here and get the other spacer. I have not taken the Cobra Ace apart yet. At most, I've had to work on getting filament out of it, but I haven't had to take it completely apart. Are you doing a V3D, like, I got this new thing, let me tear it apart? You're having a party in chat, a real fiesta? Hey, go for it, Liz. Go for it. No, right now we've the Anycubic is sitting downstairs. As soon as I get this back together and I can slide it back around, it belongs, get the black box over here, it's going to go over on the shelf that would be behind me normally. So where are we at? We've removed the board, we removed the M3x8 screw and the spacer, and that one will not be used again. Now we need to use that screw and install the M3x16 hex spacer. Means I need to get into my little bag here, which will be great because as soon as I get into this little bag, I'll probably dump it everywhere. And I only, oh, a bag inside of a bag. Love it. And now I have a bag that doesn't have a sticker on it, so I will then be able to sit here and try for weeks trying to figure out what size these are. Or I'll just create a bin for it and put them in the bin and promptly forget about them. Though when Zombie gets here, I did, we got a couple of 3D printing like chat rooms at work. And I did throw a plug for Screwfinity and, what was it? Screwfinity and the wacky, the new wacky one, the wacky stacky or whatever. Okay, so that one's in. Let me grab this screw. So once again, we just pulled things apart so that we could take that 20mm spacer out, and we're putting the 16mm spacer in its place right now. Not sure what's going on there, but we're going to whatever reason now feeling wonky. And anybody know where that spacer just dropped to? That's not spacer. Kind of sounded like it would, but I'm not seeing it under the wood. We'll find it later. I've got about 118 more of them. Hey, Hutch's Makerspace, welcome on in. Tim, finally sorted your Neptune 4 out. Okay, what wound up being wrong with the Neptune 4? The display wasn't working, so I did the world famous disconnect and reconnect trick, and voila, it fired up. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think this is a very tight hole. No, no puns there, guys. This is a very tight screw or hole for that M3 by 8 screw, and so I think it was just causing some stuff to. Actually, it was just being a pain, is what it was. So I am going to screw this orbiter back down on there. You don't want to crank these down too much. You just want to snug them down because once again, you're going into that aluminum plate. Steel screws, aluminum plate, you will strip those out if you're not careful. Okay, next up, still tuning, bed leveling wheels came loose during shipping. Ah. Hey, Miss Dragon, checking in to say hi, then collapsing of exhaustion from the hill today. So for those of you that don't know, Mrs. Dragon is up in Washington, D.C. on the hill. And I think tomorrow, oh no, today is Tuesday. Was it today that you went up to actually talk with Congress? I think so. So let me grab a couple of things out of here. We need out of our little accessory pack that came with this, we need one of the long screws and an M3 washer. The ball bearing and everything else we'll just put right back in there. And in fact, what size ball bearing is it? 5.5. All right, so we need to add those to our 5.5 bearings down the road. It says insert the smart sensor inside the PTFE hole, carefully align it, do not force it, remove the tensioning screw and open the arm. Well, we did that from the last step. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece and it's going to go straight down in there and line up, and we'll push it all the way down. Now we've got a little circuit board in here, and right behind this stem is a little ball bearing, and it just trips an end stop sensor or a button. And there's a button at the top right here that you will push. This will be your unload button. And then when filament goes in, it pushes the ball out of the way and will trigger the button at the bottom down here that will trigger the, hey, filament has been inserted. So we're going to take this, and your two ears, this one and this one, go to the back side of the motor mounts. And we'll just line this up and slowly work it into place. Come on. Slowly. Nice and snug. And there we go. There we go. Now that's down in there nice and tight. Went as well as it could when you're fighting for programs that may be on the chopping block. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the stuff for the other one, and we'll get that one squared away. I think what I'm going to do is just take the other screw and washer from the other package, because there's 2 of the long screws and several washers, some M3 nuts. Let's take the M3 nuts and add them to our collection up here of M3 nuts. Take the M3 washers and add those to our collection of M3 washers. And the ball bearing will have to sit on for a minute, because I think these are 5mm up here. Maybe a bag of 5. Kind of great that you've got 5.5s and 5mm, because yeah, 0.5 millimeter on a ball bearing, you can really tell with your, with your eyeballs. Not I. Screws. Apparently deciding to sort out some spare hardware right now for whatever reason. Yeah, so they are talking about cutting a lot of programming for early childhood and special needs. And yeah, basically anything that's tied with the Department of Education. But that'll be political, and I really don't want to get into politics here. Mrs. Dragon, your brother was on earlier and was talking about wanting me to call him later. You want to call him now. So once again, I'm going to move this to the side, open it up, make sure that your motor's pushed forward, and you're going to line that stem up with your filament path there, and just slowly, like, twist and wiggle, twist and wiggle, twist and wiggle, and it'll all line up, and next thing you know, you just hear it pop and it's done. So now we've got both of these filament sensors in place, and this whole unit is actually loose. That's great. We're going to thread the M3 by 25 in, and God, I love this. We need to stick a, you're not going to see this, but you may see me fuddle around and get annoyed, but it wants me to stick the washer between the back of the plastic housing and the back of the plastic housing and the M3 by 16. And God's honest truth, I don't think it's needed, especially after I just dropped and I have no idea where it went. Sweet. No chance of that catching and binding anything later on, huh? Dang it. So I guess I'll be taking this back apart to find that whatchamacallit, that washer that I just dropped. That comes out 2.0. Oh. While I can, I am going to put this lower left one in. It's just going to go into the plastic. I'm going to need it in to get it out of the way of this. I don't know where it went. Like, literally, I have no idea where that just went. Okay, so we're going to assume that that just bounced somewhere inappropriately, and I don't know where it went. But I don't think, looking at this, that we actually need that in there as the spacer. I think we can just direct attach it to the spacer in the back. Like, literally, the only thing I can think of is maybe it fell down in the, like, in the trench of the whatchamacallit. Okay, so we're going to take this screw. This is the M325 or whatever. And it's going to go through the motor ears, the ears for the smart sensor, and into that hex spacer that we just installed. Okay, just snug that up. Now we can close that and put our thingy back in, tensioner. There's one down. Bring this one over, open that up. Then we'll get this side screwed down. We'll grab our long screw from the orbiter package. Screw that in. Just needs to be snug. We don't need to, like I said, no need to ugga-dugga it down, try and break parts or anything. And you'll see me, I'll tighten this all the way down by hand, and then it's one full turn back, and that gives me good tension to start with for all of my builds. So we've got that done. Next up, Nice. You shall not fear empty spools anymore. Now it wants us to deal with the wiring. Before I do the wiring, I am going to mount these boards back up so that they are properly secured back here. Got another screw I just dropped. Somebody doing a count of screws that I've dropped for me. I need to get a count set up for the stream. Only I knew somebody who had a counter set up for various things on their stream. Why are you not going into... There we go. Tighten that down yet, because we need to make sure that we can get all the others lined up. Bottom one is the one that's kind of a pain in the butt to find, locate, and start to get screwed in. Again, we don't need these like tightened down like you wouldn't believe. Yes, tool heads shake. Yes, they may back out over time, but none of these were loose on the initial tool head, so I think they'll be fine. You have all the counters? Exactly. Your sorry counter is the one I was thinking of. And sorry about getting my big head in the way here. Okay, so the boards are on. We can go ahead and zip tie this stuff back up because the wiring that we're going to do next is going to go to the tool head board and nothing more. So we can go ahead and add our 4 wires again. Your order is ready, off to the store. Okay. You've got another order. Once you make payment, you can get your other order sent to you. Kind of like that they've got the number of provisions here for zip ties. They've got a provision here for 4 zip ties on the tool head, and it really provides a lot of support to that umbilical. And this umbilical is a little bit longer than the other one, which is how I made it. But yeah. I probably could have shortened it up just a little bit, but the problem being, or not the problem, but in doing this, there is spring steel wire in here. Oh, in fact, there's a piece of it right there. So that spring steel wire either broke or came out when I was doing it. That's fabulous. Break, or did it come out? Came out. So I have spring steel wire that I might as well pull out of there if I can get it out. Otherwise, there we go. If I don't, I'm going to have major issues with that abrading a wire. We'll have to think on that, on if we want to get some more spring steel wire and make a new one, because where I cut it, it would obviously be too short now on either of the pieces. Not a big deal. It'll be fine. We'll have the PTFE tube that it'll be connected with as well. So it should be good for the time being. One more, done with this step. Okay, those are zip tied back together. Put these off. Okay, and now we're going to come over for a little bit of bench time. I really need to give myself a little bit more room there. Okay, so bench time. We need to make some cables, and you'll see that we've got some cables here that came with these kits. And they would be great if we needed them this long, because this is about like a full length of motor wire cable, because it's made to do a home run back to a board, right? Plenty of length there. We need to end up with 4 DuPont connectors, but we need 155 millimeters, I believe it is, of wire. Not going to come. Oh, maybe it did. Hey, look, 155 millimeters from connector to connector. So you could probably do like 160, and that'll give you some wiggle room. What I'm going to do is put the end of this connector at 160. Come over here, find my measurement, and that's where we'll cut this bundle. And we'll save this for a rainy day when we need some additional cables for, I don't know, some project. Toss it over there with that set. Same thing over here. We'll go ahead and pull these out and do same thing. Stretch this out, put it at the 160 mark, stretch this out, and we're going to go about right there. Yeah, so I need a counter, or need to set up a counter for the number of times I drop things on the floor. And if I get so many in a stream, it'll be like I don't know, I'll have to figure out an associated punishment. Okay, so our wires, awesome. It says red, blue, orange, yellow, which is not the way this is pinned out, no matter which way you look at it. So you know, I'm going to say we can make it color match, or we can make it color match. So it's going to go in this way, and it wants orange and yellow, 5-volt ground. So that shows orange, yellow, red, blue. Means I need to flip the orange and the yellow. So this, besides being aggravating, so you look at this, and I am right. That's orange. Here, let's click this and open this up as well. So that is orange, yellow, red, blue, right? Orange, yellow, red, blue. And there's your locking pins. So it's looking at it with the locking pins like that. So it should be orange, yellow, red, blue. So I just need to change the orange and yellow colors here. But then when you look at this, it shows red, blue, orange, yellow, which would require me to swap the red and the blue, but then it's not lining up right. The end result is I just need the colors to match from one end to the other, which I can make happen. And I think what I want to do is match this color scheme right here, because I believe this is the color scheme out of the orbiter things. So what I'm going to do is pull the orange. I'm saying orange yellow. This might be, oh, I don't know. Looks orange yellow to me. How about that? For every dozen times dropped, you only get a half cup of coffee. No, I was thinking more of more along the lines of like you've got to, I don't know, maybe do squats or some type of physical punishment. All right, so I am changing what I see and feel with my eyes is orange and yellow. It might be green, I don't know. So I believe I am now orange, yellow, red, blue, like it shows on the screen right now. Oh, you mean be healthy? Exactly. So on the other side, I'm going to make sure it's in that same order on the other thing, and we will verify pinouts this time, because I've already gotten bit once where the pinout was not correct. And yeah, we're not going to let that happen again. So we will, the other thing I'm going to do is, rather than using a 4 individual connectors, I'm going to do a 1x4 connector. And yes, I need to get my show bod back in form, because, you know, pretty soon it's going to actually be good weather instead of just look like it's good weather. And Mrs. Dragon is going to make me sit out in the front yard and work. And then, you know, we're going to go to shows, and I need to get my show bod back. I feel like I've gained weight in the off season. Okay, so 4 wires. Semi 4 wires stripped, ready to go. We need our, what do we need? We need these ones. Female connector. So once again, the way I do these is I use my iWis crimpers like I would for any JST to crimp over the wire . And then I'll use these ones, which I have no idea what these are. Just generic cutter or crimpers, but these are for DuPonts, to do the DuPont side. Because once again, remember, your DuPonts do not curl up like a JST does and come over and pinch and basically make a heart shape. They roll over and kind of do more like interlocking finger shape. Okay, so there's one. I'm going to go ahead and do all 4 of these, and then we'll come back and put them in the right pin order. Hey, Chewy, how's it going? Long time no see. So, Miss Dragon, if you're still with us, one, you got a package in that you've probably been waiting on. Probably you were hoping that it would get here before you left, but it didn't. And then I may have mentioned before you got on that Saturday and maybe possibly Sunday, we'll have to see how things go. Rather than streaming, I will be going down and helping evocate, do a little bit of community support and go help evocate, relocate stuff from their existing shop to their new shop location. Ecovate, not evocate. Ecovate. So yeah. And I am sure they will accept any and all hands if you want to go with me. So how's it been going, Chewy? 20 pounds you need to get rid of? Yeah. And more about 10 to 15 that I've gained. And it's not necessarily that it's bad, right? It's just I just feel like I need to get back in shape. Round is a shape that I agree with, but I just have a feeling that there's going to be a lot more physical stuff in my future this summer, and if I don't start working on it, I'm gonna feel it every day that we do it. So okay. Now I need a 1x4 DuPont connector. So 1x4, one row, 4 in the row. And looks like we line this up in color order. So same way that it's there is how it goes in here. So blue on one end. And red. Next is yellow. Helps if you stick those wires in the right way so that the locking clip is in the place where it needs to be to lock. And then the last one. Thought it was orange, maybe green, what the hell. It's a color. The 4 colors line up. That's all I care about. Good enough. 4 colors line up. Now, before I go put this in, I'm going to go ahead and do the other 4 so they're done in the exact same manner. Because consistency is good. We're either consistently wired right or consistently wired wrong. That's already bit us once where we checked one end and made a change and didn't check the other end. And come to find out that wire is actually created to go on a specific way, but so you give me a wire that has different, so it's white, black, red, and the other side is red, white, or red, black, white. But you don't tell me which side goes which. You just say plug it in. So I changed one side, not paying attention, and I really needed to just take the whole cable out and flip it around. Quite annoying. Okay, that side's done. Take these 4 wires and them prepped and ready to go. So Chewy, have you gotten the Trident working and printing reliably? I mean, it should have, but there was a lot of travel between when it was working here and when it got to your place. Just didn't know if you got it dialed into your liking. And weren't you also working on a switch wire? Okay. Crimp some wires. Thing we love to do. What you're seeing me do is crimp it once at a larger size because of the way the insulation, I'll say clips, but the parts that go around the insulation kind of spread out. And so I'll do it with a little bit larger size first, and then come back with a smaller size crimp to finish them off. That's why you see me do this part twice. And I find when I do that way, they tend to slide in and lock without much fuss. If I don't, then it feels like it's a little bit too wide and it doesn't want to slide in and lock real easily in the connector housing. One more. Got on a committee in the union, kind of excited about that. Dude, I was on several committees, not in unions, but in like HOAs and stuff like that. It sounds good, and then it's a lot of work that nobody listens to, and it just becomes a drag. That, and when people come to you, they just want to come and complain. Not saying that your position will be like that, but that's how I have, every time I've been a board of something or on a committee, that's basically what it's led to, is a lot of people bitching about it. But when you say, okay, let's work on fixing it, then they're like, yeah. And that's where things die. Okay, so another 1x4. Yep. And make sure that we pin this out the same way. So we go 2. Good. Uh, Yellow, and then orange, green, whatever the law says, the red, green, colorblind guy. All like to complain. Exactly. They all like to complain. They don't want to be part of the solution. They just want to complain about the problems. And that's the part that just makes it not fun. Well, that's right. It was a Trident frame that went 2. Yeah, Trident that went 2.4. Yeah. Just rebuilt the stealth burner for the Filomatrix, and the motor is skipping on me. Need to tear it back down and see what's up. Yeah, it shouldn't be skipping. Should not be skipping. Okay, so that's done. We've got 2 of these. They are matching. And now we plug one in there, and I swear. 5-volt ground filament sensor. All right, so let's try this again. 5-volt ground filament, and then sensor box. So I'm going to take the DuPonts back apart, and we will do this end in the order so that it, so that they'll line up with what they're asking for. So 5-volt, which would be the red, be at the top. Ground, which would be the blue, be next. on this before I put these together. And then next would be filament sensor is the outer one. I don't know why I tried. I just don't know. We'll follow the words, and when it says this cable should go here, at this point I somewhat don't care what the colors are as far as it says that this is cable A, and does cable A go where cable A is supposed to go? That's what we're working on right now. Bum, bum. Wire that's going to the sensor button is there, or to the filament button, or the filament sensor button is there. So red, blue, orange, green, whatever, and now we'll make this one match this one, which basically means roll both pairs, because following instructions gets me 3 different pictures, and they all 3 seem to depict a different wiring scheme. I'm going to go out on a limb and hope that the pinout that they're calling for power ground and stuff is correct, EBB 42, and that the placement of the wires for the whatchamacallit are also correct. As far as what's 5 volt, what's ground, what leads to which sensor. Okay, we're going to go with that. All righty. So we have a couple of cables fabricated. I think we're looking at this in the right way. So the locking tabs here are facing down. When we put it in the backside of our orbiter sensor, it might have been easier to install before we installed everything onto the frickin' tool head. Okay. So, in a very calm manner, I'm going to turn you guys over here one. We're going to undo a couple of screws, namely that one. We'll take the extremely long screw out again. Then we'll take our N3 by 8 hold down screws, hold the orbiter in place. One. On the other side. And what this is going to let me do is just pop this off, and I can turn it around, which is going to make it easier for me to get to that spot where I need to plug this cable in. So I can kind of turn it around, pop that cable in, pop that cable in. And there we go. Felt like you were going. There we go. Now the cable's on there, and it will be easy enough to just flip this back around, get it lined up on that PTFE tube, and flip it back on there. Pop these two screws in. Because I'm here, I'll go ahead and pop this side out. Got to switch driver side. And once we get the cable in place, it'll be easier to flip it around and plug it in. Done. Get that one over. We'll bring this one over and undo this side. And once again, the only thing that's still going to be connected is the motor wire. Let me go ahead and disconnect that one here. And I'll bring this around, and you'll see that we're trying to get this wire right in there now. So we need to make sure our locking clips are down, line that up, and slot it in there. Now we can go ahead and mount this back up. Probably will be a little bit easier to get the motor wire back in there before we mount this up. Bring it around, line it up in place. That's down. Arm open. will go in. We'll put that. You get pretty used to taking these apart. They're not that hard. The wire goes not on the outermost set of DuPonts, but on the next set with the red wire at the top. And there'll be a decent loop here. It wants you to bring it down and attach it down in there. So we'll have to cut one and redo it, but that'll be another day. And cut one, I mean cut a zip tie and redo one. Okay. Funny enough, I put both of those on the third row from the outside in. That's where you saw me make a quick change. Okay. Oh, and this whole time, like I thought you guys were seeing the browser and you weren't. Why is it not showing the browser window? Apologies. So I'm sitting here talking and you guys have no idea what I'm talking about. Awesome. Okay, so crimp the DuPont connector onto the wire, ensuring the secure and precise connection. Insert the connector on the DuPont housing following the specified. Once again, it's the second row of pins. There's actually a 5-pin and then 2 sets of 4-pin connectors on the back side of this board. You want to be in that center set of connectors there. Route the orbiter wires as shown. It wants us to bring those wires down and add them to that bundle right there. Once again, I'll cut that and redo that off stream. Now there is some config stuff that we need to do. And if you're adding this to the hybrid, there's one set of files or information. And with the V-Core IDEX, there's a second set. And it wants it to be at the end of the printer.cfg file. It means I'm going to have to turn the printer back on. So bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to sneak in front of the camera and just make sure that I reset one of the wiring. Yep, there. Oh, still. Volt ground, 5-volt ground. So I'm back to 100% stock standard wiring. I'm going to turn this on. And I want to see. Okay. So everything's wired up. You know, because these fans will be working. These are the 4028 blower fans on each head, and they're going to continue to blow until Clipper is fully up. So hopefully Clipper, there we go. Clipper is now up and running. You'll notice that we have our lights up here. This tells us that we don't have any filament in there right now. We'll go ahead and pop that one in there. Helps take the clip out first, then pop it in there. Put the clip back in. There we go. There we go. I still haven't run the PTFE tube for this one. That's fine. So what we want to do is we're going to copy the bottom section for the IDEX. We're going to copy that to the clipboard. We're going to come up here to the printer. Everything's now up there. Hey, Down Under Maker, how's it going? You just pre-ordered the box turtle enclosure? Who'd you pre-order through? Just curious if you went through West 3D or Fabrico or KB3D. I think all three of them have it. I know KB3D and Fabrico do. Oh, that's true. You're close enough you can drive by and get it. You can force that to be off in the make menu config to not have to put up with that noise. Yeah, I need to do that. So what we need to do is come in here to our printer config, and let me switch screens real fast. So it's a little bit bigger. So in our printer.cfg, and what we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. So I'm just going to grab and drag. And all the way down at the bottom, before this note here, is where I'm going to put this parameter. Help if I have my keyboard over here. Control config, or control V, and that adds the filament sensors. In fact, I will put aside a little section header like that. Not asterisk. Probably want to put do the right symbol. There we go. We'll do a save and restart. And bada bing, bada boom. So you see that we've got extruder 1, heated bed. They're all relatively close together temperature-wise. The beacon coil. Remember, we only have a beacon on tool 0, the left tool head. The EBB boards on each tool head, the Octopus board, and then the Raspberry Pi. So we kind of have everything. These should be the fans for the tool heads, or the part cooling fan. Oh, thank God. So tool head 0, tool head 1, the controller fan, tool head cooling fans will come on as needed. Tool head filament sensors, they're both turned on. We can just turn it off or turn it on. So these are turned on. They're saying both are empty. So that means that they're plugged in and configured appropriately. Rock on. But we're still going to need to go through and repig, calibrate everything and all that good stuff. But I believe at this point, yeah, so that part's done. The next upgrade that we would have would be the RatPack. Oh, I'm like, what is that? I'm like hearing something. This is going. So this is the RatPack. It's their air filtration system. Yeah, so it can be mounted in various places within the chamber. I plan on putting it probably along the back left over here. Most likely, maybe the back right, who knows. There is both a large and a small version. The large is recommended for the 400 and 500 size, and the small, which is the one I got, is recommended for the 300 size. Kind of a size comparison between the two. So basically 125 by 125 versus 160 by 160. Uses a 24 volt, I think, what is that, like a 120 fan? Yep. Blah, blah, blah. Download step, download STLs. We don't need the STLs because I believe I got all of the printed parts here when I did it. Let me go ahead and move the keyboard back out of the way. And we'll switch the views again. Bring you guys back over here to the bench. There we go. Move the phone out of the way. Move that cup out of the way because that's now empty. And we've got the RatPack. So fasteners, looks like some O-rings. And actually doesn't say the size on there, but I'm assuming that's a 120 size fan. And filter pack. Actually, I don't have printed parts. I thought this had printed parts with it. Well, I guess we'll have to hold off on doing this. We'll do this on Thursday night, and I'll have to print the parts off for it so that we have the parts. Actually, what part do we need? What parts do we? I guess I can come up here and look at the STL file, huh? Huh. Yeah, just a couple of parts. Four parts. Okay. Well, we'll have to work on getting those printed out. So we can't do the RatPack, so I guess we'll just come into commissioning. When you're coming in here, make sure you click on Core XY, Hybrid, or IDEX. We now have the IDEX. This is talking about getting your basic config done, which is what we have. We need to get the initial configuration. We've done this part. That's what we're up to now, is done with that. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Step 2, configure the Z end stop and VOC LED. Navigate to the Machines tab, click the Printer Config, and scroll to the bottom. This is where you should insert any custom modifications. At this point, add the Z end stop and VOC LED configurations. Hey Waters, how's it going? Been telling everybody that I probably will not stream on Saturday because we will be I'll be out helping you guys move. So there's some more code that we need to insert here. Let's grab this code. We're working on automating this step in the near future, similar to the rest of the RatOS configurator. So I've got this, but I want to double check something real fast. Now, we'll go ahead and do that. If anything, it won't matter and it'll get overwritten. And the reason I'm saying that is because I know in RatOS, there's several sets of scripts and stuff in here, and a lot of things that get called, but just to be on the safe side, printer config will come back down here at the bottom and add a couple of spaces. Yeah, I thought I had printed parts for the RatPack, and apparently I don't, so that's depressing. We'll add in the section here for Z offset probe and VAOC fan and VAOC LED. So we'll do something like whoops, dang it, did it again. There we go. Oh yeah, no problem. We're gonna hear a loud no. Actually, yeah, we're gonna hear a loud noise. Gotta love those blower fans. 4028 server fans. Click the Save and Restart button at the top of the right window. The machine will then restart with the new parameters applied. Configure the VAOC camera. Next, navigate to the Machine tab and open the Crow's Nest configuration file by clicking on the file name. Inside the Crow's Nest file, locate the Cam1 section. And replace Crow's Nest and Cam1 with the following info. Okay, so we need to come in here to Crow's Nest. And we're going to replace the Crow's Nest and the Cam1 information. Do a Control V and save and restart again. Machine will then restart and the new parameters applied. I didn't hear this go crazy, so I'm not sure if it restarted. Okay, so now we want to click on the VAOC and see if we get a camera picture. And if we get a camera picture, we're good. Okay, I am seeing fingers there. That is my finger there. It's just dark because the light itself did not come on. Um, okay, the LEDs are now on. My fingers over there. Hey, I'm seeing fingers. I'm seeing something. Hey, there's a fingerprint. Wait, so we get something, so that's good. Click back down here in the bottom left to go back to main sail. That and okay. Sanity checks. That light's still on. Dang it. Light's back. I don't think we need that light on all the time. So sanity checks. Once again, we're going to click over here on IDEX, which is going to change some things. So before getting started with your IDEX, it's important to get familiar with some terms. T0, left tool head. T1, right tool head. So T0, T1. X-axis, left to right direction. Y-axis, front to back. X stepper X is the left tool head X stepper. Stepper X, the lower left. The dual carriage is the lower right stepper. Okay. VAOC is the visually assisted offset calibration, the camera. Z in stop is the Chicago bolt. This button right back here next to our VAOC. Now, one thing I want to check real fast. Dual carriage is open, X in stop is open, Y is open, Z in stop Z is triggered. I think this is the beacon probe, not the actual Chicago bolt. Just press that. Nothing has changed. If I take the bed, like the build plate, and get it closer to the beacon, I might actually have to, because I blew the configs out, I probably have to set up the beacon and everything before that's squared away. But okay. Commission guide. X-axis direction IDEX. Run the following command in your console. Move the tool heads manually to the middle of the build plate, leaving at least 100 millimeters of spacing between them. Okay. So let's see if I can move this around and then get you guys even closer. So we're going to put you guys like that. So it said to put it in the middle of the bed, right? Move the tool heads manually to the middle of the build plate, leaving at least 100 millimeters of space between them. Out in the middle of the build plate. And are we 100 millimeters? Let's see. Well, at least 100 millimeters. Yep, we're at least 100 millimeters. Okay, now what? Run the following command on your console. Set center kinematic position. The following command in your console to activate T0. Standby. Rat OS warning. Only use set center kinematic position for debugging purposes. Overriding the internal position state of the printer. Proceed with caution and do a proper G28 when done. Sounds like a plan? Sounds like a plan. Run the following command in your console to activate T0. Okay, so our left IDEX should be ready now. It says to use the mainsail buttons to move T0 10 millimeters to the left and the right, ensuring that it moves in the right direction. So scroll down here to T0, 10 millimeters. Say left, it should move left. It moved left, we'll say right, and it moved right. So that is working. The T0 x-axis is moving in the expected direction. Get to step 7. It is, so we're good. Step 7, now we're going to activate the right tool head, or tool 0, or excuse me, tool 1. We're going to do the same thing with 10 millimeters. Okay, and this is critical. We need to make sure that on the extruder that we select T1. Was not expecting that to happen. Still wasn't expecting that to happen. Okay, so I think we're going to be good, but just for giggles, that moved left, that moved right. which I expected to work right since they didn't slam each other in the middle when it just did its little thing when we swapped between the two tool heads, which scared the crap out of me because it didn't say anything about it getting ready to do that. Okay, if the T1 x-axis is moving in the expected direction, this chapter is complete. Hooray! Y-axis direction for IDEX. Once again, we're going to run this command. Run a command. M18. And move the tool head manually to the middle of the build plate, leaving at least 100 millimeters of spacing between them. Okay, so we'll scoot that one to the right some. Scoot this one to the right so that they're in the middle of the build plate. Looks to be about 100 millimeters between them still. We'll double check. And okay. Run the following command: set kinematic center position. Yep. Give us an error again. Does it want to tell us that we did something? Select the 1 millimeter square marked in orange. Move the y-axis in a very small amount, 2 to 3 millimeters maximum. If any of the y-steppers are inverted, the machine can be damaged with excessive move. So what we want to do is make sure that it's not going opposite of each other and racking this gantry and damaging it. So we want to come down here to 1 millimeter moves, and we'll do front to back. And I'm probably going to come over here like this so that I can look at this as I go to move it front and back. So let's go front. Leave that front first. And both are moving. Good. So it's not racking the frame. They're both moving. So that's good. Yay. Hey, Thorpe, how's it going? Any plans on doing a stealth changer? You know, I'm not going to say no. Not going to say no. It's moving as expected. Restart clipper and you are done. Please proceed with the next sanity check. So reset or restart clippers. So we will tell it to restart. They'll make a big racket. So yeah, Zombie's been doing stealth changers, stuff like that. I'm not adverse to doing one, but I need to talk to a couple of vendors to see about getting some support for doing that. Because buying and building 5 or 6 tool heads is an expensive proposition when you're talking about extruders and CAN bus boards and everything else. So this is going down then up, which is what we expect, down being a larger value and then a smaller value. Observe which of these lead screws moves when you run the command. This is the one that was doing it. So only the Z motor should move. None of the others did. Now we're going to do Z1, which should be the one in the back. and only the one in the back. And only the one in the back is going, and it is going down then up. Then we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to do this for stepper Z2, which will be this front right one. So you should see this front right one dip. So yes, this front right one is dipping down, so that's in the right direction as well, which I expected it to be. All of those have been wired up and nothing's been changed since the last one. The correct Z-stepper motor moves as commanded. Please proceed to the next sanity check as your Z-axis is all ready for action. If not, revert to the notes. Well, it's already good, so we can go on to the next one. Run the following command: and 8. We're still there. Be on the safe side. Wants us to drop these by 10 to 20 millimeters. And right now, let me get an indicator here. We are at least 40 millimeters away from the bed. So I think we're good. Use the mainsail buttons to move the bed 10 millimeters up and down. Carefully observe the movement of each Z-arm. If any of them is moving in the wrong direction, you will need to remove the blah, 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 blah. This? We'll do it. What the heck? What the heck? So we wanted 10 millimeters. And we're going to use the 2 up and down here. So up should be dropping the bed down. Put in that command or the ZR. Use the main cell buttons to move the bed. Not letting me do it. Do I need to do a restart? Okay, so I'm going to do the M18 command again. And let's see if it'll let me. Why will it not let me? Do the Z-axis. Do not know why it won't. They run the following command: more of the tool heads, middle, the machine tab, find the end stops box, or right of the window, refresh button, check if all end stop show is open. Manually press each end stop and refresh button. So we've sort of done this already. Do this, the dual Z carriage. So this is open. I will click the button on the left end stop here. Down the tool head. So this should be tool head or end stop X. The one on the right here is the dual carriage, which would be the top one. So you see that one goes trigger, this one goes open. Okay. I'm going to reach over here in the front and trigger the Y end stop. Click there, and now the Y end stop's triggered. Whoops. And now everything's back open. The thing that still shows as triggered is the end stop Z. So run the following command in your console to check if the Z end stop on VAOC is working properly. So this is the Z offset query probe. So it's currently open. And if I come over here and push down on it, run that command again, it now shows triggered. So that probe is working correct. Yep. So not pressed should be open, manually pressed should be triggered, and that's what we're getting. Home sequence, provided that the machine has successfully passed all sanity checks, there should be no reason for the homing sequence to fail. As a standard precaution, it is recommended to keep your finger positioned above the emergency stop button to quickly address any unexpected behavior during during the process. Run the following command: beacon initial calibration. Machine will home all axes and prepare the beacon. Will home your printer and run the calibration fully automated. Alrighty, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. If you're going to clip anything, now might be a good time to get ready to clip something, because if it's going to go wrong, this would be where it would go wrong. I'll hide the application window right there so you can see everything. And we are going to run the beacon initial calibration. Should home all X, Y axes and then do Z. I think we're set up for tap, so it's going to do nozzle probing. That is the most nerve-wracking piece, is when it goes to do its first ever probing of the bed with a beacon or any other probe. When are you going to build me a stealth changer? Hey, I was joking with Zombie and told him that, you know, I wanted him to build me a stealth changer for the box turtle. And well, he's sending me funds for the box turtle. Apparently, his idea of fun is not building a another stealth changer. Okay, now it says in the so down here in the console, it's telling me initial beacon contact calibration finished, and click Save Config to have the settings saved to your printer config. So we're going to click the Save Config button up here, which will save the configuration. Good time to hydrate. Okay. Build plate preparation. Note, the bed heater and surface magnetic pad should not have been installed before this chapter and the following steps. We'll verify whether the build plate is ready to proceed. It's normal to have the bed tilted after assembly. Insert M18 in the console. This will disable the stepper motors. Manually adjust each lead screw by rotating to achieve a roughly level bed. Blah, 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 blah. Hold the machine, perform a Z-tilt calibration. This printer has run before, so we're just going to run a Z-tilt. So scroll down here, probably do a home all and then a Z-tilt, just because that feels like the right thing to do. That and I like watching it move. Ooh. Gotta be somewhat careful of this one. On the PTFE tube or the wire in it. So, okay, now we'll do a Z-tilt adjust. So Z offset, it uses the nozzle to do a beacon tap. For Z tilt adjust and bed meshing, it uses the actual eddy sensor or eddy current sensor. So that was done 2 passes, and our probe point range is 0.003624 and beat the tolerance that we were looking of 0.02. Yeah, beacon contact, my bad. So it touches the nozzle and does a beacon contact for the Z offset probing, and I believe the initial home. And then when it does Z tilt adjust and bed mesh, it's doing it with the actual beacon standard probing. Okay, so Z tilt, whoops, is good. Now it wants us to do a bed mesh calibrate. So let me see if I can step around the camera without taking it out. So we'll come over here and go into the height map. We'll say home. Okay. And now we're going to say calibrate, which will do a mesh, and it said to call it preparation. Yep, and hit calibrate. I remember we did one of these on the Annex Engineering K3, which is a 180 by 180 build plate, and we did a 100 by 100 mesh at like 10,000 acceleration and a couple of thousand millimeters per second, and it was stupid crazy. The graph was so good that you could almost look like a like the textured build plate itself. Okay, so this is, darn it, extra sensitive scroll wheel is what that is. All right, so we're here, 20 by 20 inch size. Our max is 0.059. The lowest spot is negative 0.131. So our range is 0.19. So less than a layer height across the whole bed. I can live with that, quite honestly. Inspect your mesh, get a realistic analysis. Please check the scale gradient and slide the scale Z max all the way to the right of your mesh. Okay. Scale gradient, Z mesh all the way over. Get rid of that wireframe. If your mesh is not flat and appears tilted or twisted, similar to the image below, you will need to verify the alignment and squareness of your frame. This frame has been aligned and squared and has been running for a good while. I'm not going to sit here and try and bump things around. The only thing that has changed in here is I detensioned and then retensioned I was going to say the XY belts. The standard core XY belts were retensioned, and the linear rail on the X-axis was taken off, a carriage added, and it was reset using the same alignment jigs as before. And once again, looking at this, the front corner may be a little bit low. I'm going to let it ride. I'm not going for that gnat's butt, basically. If it was that wonky, then yeah, I would play with it, but I'm not looking, I don't think it needs to be extra duty flat. Add the build plate. Yep. Bed wiring. Yep. Bed PID. All right, there we go. We do need to redo this because, well, we blew our old PID stuff. So the PIDs that are there are the default PIDs. And at the very least, because I've got a vent right up above this that is blowing on it right now, I need to put the top on. Whoops. The top complete with all the stuff that's been sitting on the top for months. So please forgive what this top's going to look like when I put it on there. Probably see if I can't make that a little bit shorter too. Once again, we're doing this just to, you know, we're trying to heat a big plate up, and we're going to have a cold air blowing straight down on it. It's going to kind of throw things off a bit. I'm going to scoot you back because I need to fix this one. It's off kilter. Yeah, this magnetic point right up here. When I went to, God, words on stream. When I was doing something with the printer before, it actually just like, I kind of smacked it right off. I was like, oh, so that hammerhead T-nut never turned. So we're going to come down here to pig calibrate. Click the little down arrow, 80 temps to default. Sounds good. I mean, we can do 110. Probably should have done 110, but we'll be good for 80. I'll go back and rerun it at 110 afterwards. Yep, it's warming up. It's warming up. You're gonna wait till there's a full kit to mess with the stealth changer. I mean, have they talked about kits becoming available for it? I know that there was like Teaching Tech and a few others were working on the Solval SV08, and I would assume that there would be a potential kit that comes out for that after they get it figured out. Stealth Changer's been going. The big question is, are you going to do Stealth Changer or, well, there's what? Stealth Changer, Tap Changer, using Stealth burners or Dragon burners or... Yeah, so it's going to be a full 2.4 kit. Now, if they're not changing the standard size of a 2.4, you would think, and one would hope, all right, excuse me, that they would do like an upgrade kit for a 2.4. I would hope. And do I have... While that's heating up, I want to check and see if I've got some standard black, either ASA, and if not ASA or ABS, then I'm going to have to go with like PCABS. Like, hey, I've got PCABS right here. Full roll of black PCABS. I will use that. The plan will be to fall over and kill myself. The plan will be to actually print the parts on this printer for the RatPack stuff. So I will set this up to dry. While that pig tune's going on, working on. PC ABS, yeah, we'll do it under PC. Why not? Okay. We'll get that going and let that heat up some and dry out because it's been sitting out here for a while. Good tune. Still going. All right, it's done its first drop and peak. You want to do dragon burners with rapidos? Haven't been keeping up with the better stealth or yeah. Um, yeah, I noticed that I think he did it on a trident. So Zombie went and did the takeoff tool head with a tube. I've had one for a while. I need to go ahead and get that installed. I've actually been waiting for this to get done because what I'll have to do is move the Trident 350 from downstairs and bring it up here, and it will live here for a while because it's a CNC XY gantry stuff. So it's switching it from printed parts over to metal. 9mm belt upgrade. We'll put in a takeoff tool head, which has provisions for a beacon, but instead of a beacon, I've got a cartographer that came with the kit. It's a Cybor Trident CNC 9mm belt upgrade kit with a cartographer. So I'm going to be doing that, and when I do that belt upgrade, I'm going to put in a takeoff tool head with a tube, and I've got I think a 1.0 nozzle that I'm going to put in it. Because why not? I'll try different nozzles and different nozzle sizes. I've got several of them. But the point would be to put that in the 350 by 350 and be able to print big things faster. I think I also have like a 100-watt heater for it. Might be a 60, but I think it's 100-watt. Give it some time, Chewy. Yeah, I think the biggest issue I've got right now is tool heads, right? So there's the Calamity, which the Calamity is side to side, so the fans are on the sides. Takeoff, the fans are front to back. So you lose some Y, but you don't lose X and Y. They've got tube mounts for the RatRig, right? Which is cool, but yeah, like I said, it's too something for the hot ends. It's a bit. Now I've actually got two tubes. I traded for one, and that's the one that I've got that's going to be going in the Trident. And then I bought one because Poity gave me metal mounts for the Annex Engineering K3 for a tube. So I figured, why not? I need a tube for it. Now, why you really need a tube to replace a Rapido ultra high flow in a 180mm machine? Just because. A pig calibrated bed, click save config. So we will save config. This is now pig calibrated for 80 degrees. I mean, if you're going to be printing primarily ABS, ASA, PC, that type of stuff in it, doing it at 110, probably not a bad idea. And in fact, I'm going to rerun that PID and do it for 110. It hasn't cooled down all the way, so it won't be as bad, and it should hopefully peak a little bit faster now. I could also help it heat up a little bit more by just, I don't know, enclose the old girl. What do I have here? PLA stuff that was up underneath. Not too far off of where she started from. Oops. There we go. Hey, found the washer I dropped. Made it all the way down to the carpet. Sorry about that. You should put it in a V0 or a V0. What I should do is figure out how to put one on a rook. Hey, Kenneth, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. We've made progress. We've actually figured out the issue I was having with why we couldn't update the octopus board on the last stream wound up being the fact that the cable that goes between the Z offset end stop switch, the one that's now mounted in the back with the alignment camera, the VAOC camera, it was pinned out differently between the two ends. I did not realize that. They did not say anything. They just said, plug it in here. Here's how you route the cable. Plug it in there. They did not say in which order the wires go. So I plugged one end into the end stop. And when I went to plug the other end in on the other side, I noticed, the end stop that I'm plugging, the Y end stop that I'm plugging in right next to, the color of the wires are a different order. So I popped the pins out and repinned it, which now meant that I was sending 5-volt from the board to the signal pin on the end stop. And for whatever reason, the octopus board would still boot up, but it wouldn't talk to anything over the USB. So after swapping, and I do mean physically swapping the octopus board out with another octopus board that I flashed on the bench, got everything reconnected, and it would stop talking as soon as I reconnected all the ports. I was about ready to say it was probably a power brownout type of issue, and I was going to try and swap the power supply. Now, here's the thing. Swapping the power supply on this means I have to disconnect anything that comes through the rear panel. So everything gets disconnected from the octopus board. All of the routing of the cables, all those zip ties and lockdowns and everything have to be undone, because you mount the power supply to the back of the aluminum plate with flathead screws, and then you mount the enclosure to this back panel. So basically I'm going to have to undo the 4 screws to pull the whole enclosure off, to undo the 4 screws to remove the power supply and put a different power supply on there. Why would I say power supply? My kit came with a 200 watt Meanwell LRS 224 power supply. The current BOM up on the website for a RatRig is a WEHMA, I think it's WEHMA, 250 watt 24 volt power supply. So I'm thinking potential brownout, because I've had that issue with the black box where we were having brownout issues. And come to find out, it was that wiring. So I wound up taking apart the wiring up here and making it match the Y end stop. and everything works. So, but that was me reflashing on the bench and swapping out octopus boards 3 times and doing a bunch of other troubleshooting stuff, and it was just driving me nuts. But yeah, now we're up and running again. We're going through the you know, movement and the sanity checks and checking all the end stops. We've successfully homed it. We're doing PID tuning of the bed. We'll do PID tuning of both tool heads. Remind me to drop the bed down at some point, because we don't have the sock on tool head 1. The reason we don't have the sock on tool head 1 is it's my reminder that I still need to hot tighten that nozzle so we don't get leaks. And that might be a good time to do that when we did the PID tuning, is where I'm getting at. So if I remember to drop the bed down before we go into the next set of PID tuning, then that should give me the opportunity to hot tighten while we're doing PID tuning. Let's see, we've got the filament runout sensors installed, so that's good. Always worthwhile to have one of those. Especially on the orbiter, where it sits right at the top of the tool head and it does filament runout, automatic filament loading, 1-button touch macro to unload filament, and now also has Tangle Detection built in. So yeah, things are going good. And once again, this printer, we built this last year after Rocky Mountain. So probably late spring, early summertime. I'd have to look at the video for this series. And we built it with hybrid out of the gate. So that means we've got the standard Core XY motors hanging at the bottom. And then at the top on each side, we have another motor. And that has a dedicated Y belt on each side. When you go to do the IDEX, you must also have hybrids. So if you got a standard Core XY and you want to do IDEX, you also have to do the hybrid upgrade, then do the IDEX. Because in essence, what you're doing is, instead of having both belts going to the single tool head, you now have the, the top belt going to the left tool head and the bottom belt going to the right tool head. So it's the left motor, the left lower motor runs the left tool head in the X direction, and the lower right motor does the right tool head in the X direction, and Y is done by the hybrid motors. So that's why you need all of that stuff. So we've done the IDEX upgrade after having several hundred print hours. And the downside of this is I've lost that print history of the couple of 100 print hours that we had on it. Because I've reflashed the Pi and everything else trying to figure out the issue that was going on. So now, PID's done. Save config. I'll take this cover back off. It was worth throwing it on there while it was doing the bed, because that's a larger piece of mass that has to heat up, right? Then what? Before we go any further, because the next thing up after bed PID, hot end and fans check. Pretty sure they're working. We'll check that in 1 second. What I want to do, because I think we're going to check that the hot ends will heat up and the fans will work before we do a PID tune. So I'm going to home all. Okay. Okay. Expected. I get us there, but I'll do it one more. Okay. That should give us some breathing room that we can do our thing. So it wants to check the temperature window. So we'll set the extruder temp to 80°. Watch that it starts to come up and that the hot end fan starts spinning. And then we'll do the same thing for the other extruder. This is basically setting the extruder temperature to 80 and making sure that the fan starts at the front. It does. So I'm not going to let it go all the way up. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here. And that one's did the same thing. So I'll move that back to 0. Once these get down below 50, the fan should go off. This one just went off. This one got a little bit hotter than that one. The good news is the fans are running and they're doing their things. And we know the big noisemakers work. And if you don't know what I mean by the big noisemakers, we'll turn this on. That's that part cooling fan. That's 60%. It normally comes on like this, which is obscenely loud. And that's just one. We can turn the other one on too. And that is why we have enclosures. Those things are insanely loud. The part cooling fans sitting on the back here are 12-volt 4028 fans. They are server class fans that are PWM controlled and have tachometers. They are crazy and the noise canceling is good. Yeah. Noise canceling is good. So now we want to PID calibrate the hot end. We are going to be planning on doing ABS, so especially we'll do an ABS print on this probably tomorrow. Oh God, I'm going to the office tomorrow. That sucks. So anyhow, we'll come down here, PID calibrate hot end. We'll click on that and it'll let us select which tool head. We're going to say 0 and we'll say 270. and that'll be the left tool head. So I just saw that cut-in fan spin up. So printer will be here Friday, your Cobra S1. Nice. Yeah, mine's doing good. Mine's sitting downstairs. It's not in timeout. It was just up on the bench, and I needed the bench to work on a bunch of stuff. I'll turn this way while we're chatting. And yeah, it's not in timeout. It's just sitting downstairs. What I need to do is so Echovate is moving into their new digs this weekend. I'm not going to stream on Saturday. I'm going to go and lend them my truck and my body, and we're going to help move them on Saturday. I guess Friday they're doing like building of shelves and stuff like that, counters, shelves, and then they're moving stuff physically Saturday and Sunday. So I'm going to try and go out and help them move stuff on Saturday. Maybe see about dragging Mrs. Dragon or Evil Diesel with me. We'll see how he feels. But we'll go out and I'll do that. You know, give back to the community, that community that's helping to support me and give back to me as well. Because once they're set up, I will be taking one of my printers, one of my Voron 2.4s that was based on an LDO kit. That's somewhere between, it started as a Rev C. It's now at least a Rev D in electronics because we put a Leviathan board and a Nighthawk SB board in it. And we have a Filamatrix tool head on it and a box turtle. So I need to make that box turtle. I need to double check if that one's up to, it may not be full release spec yet. Got ASC light. It's not full release spec per se because of the respooler wheels. They're not the latest version of the respooler wheels. But yeah, it's close enough, and we'll make sure that that's working and has some things that can be printed on it because it's going to be on display over at Echovate, and hopefully they'll be able to sit there and do some prints on it and stuff. And the plan is that I was going to move the L8 Stinger somewhere and put the Anycubic Cobra S1 with the Ace Pro back in here on the bench so that we've got X1Cs with AMS, Cobra with Ace Pro, 2 Vorons with black boxes on them, which need to be worked again because neither one of the ones up, no. One has the latest spec, the other one doesn't, so I need to update the other one to the AFC light board and the latest spec is basically where I'm going to go. And then we'll have the ability to do a lot of multicolor prints, which we're probably going to need to do a Death Racer because we're building a Death Racer for KB3D, a Drag Racer for KB3D, and we've been talking about it so much. Mrs. Dragon wants a Death Racer. So we're going to do a Death Racer for Mrs. Dragon. Yeah, we got a lot going on. And I haven't even started on Maker Coins, and I may wind up just doing the Maker Coins that we had previously with the old logo. Because I don't know if I will get the new logo clear enough at the size for a Maker chip. I guess while that's heating up, I should get the thing over here so we can tighten the other nozzle. So I use a nozzle wrench. I got the 1.4 nanometer torque. 1.4 nanometer torque nozzle wrench. You can get different ones. This is, standard wrench. So we'll get this set up so that we can torque down that other tool head when we go to PID tune it. So I hope everybody's doing well. But that's the plan. So far, the Cobra S1 is pretty decent, Kenneth. I've gotten some good prints on it. I have not yet done a color print on it. My plan was to slice up some coins or maker chips and start running some maker chips. I just didn't have the right colors in there to do so. So that is my plan. I'm going to slice up some stuff and do some maker chips on that. It prints well. I did. So here's one thing to remember. And this is critical. It does not have hardened extruder gears. Right now, there are no extruder spare parts. And it does not have a hardened nozzle. So I was using what I thought was a carbon gray color from 3DO that I was starting to hear squeaking noise, which was something I have heard before and associated with bad. And I quickly did a search on 3DO's site, and it is 15% carbon filled. So I stopped that print immediately. I now have 2 new hot ends on the way, but I don't know about the extruder. I don't know what kind of extruder it has, what the extruder parts are in it. But I'm going to have to find out because, do we have the wiki up here? No. No. Well, this was actually what I was starting to print, and I was doing it in that gray because I felt that it was going to match. And hey, Da Vinci, you right back? Okay. Hey, Nick, how's it going? So yeah, just be careful with that Cobra S1 and don't run wood, glow in the dark, or anything else that would be abrasive until they finally come out with hardened nozzles. I think I did see somebody that said they're making hardened nozzles for it. It's an AliExpress site. And if any cubic is not selling them, I don't want to go and grab an AliExpress and throw in there. Okay, so that PID finished. We'll go ahead and save that config. Repeat steps 3 and 4 to perform a PID tune on T1, type 1, or tool head 1. We can do that. So we're back up and ready. And let's see. So we need to do this for tool head 1 for giggles. We'll get you over there looking at that and see what happens when I select T1. No fair, it didn't do it. Last time I did that, when it told me to be in a certain thing, they did the tool head switch and scared the bejesus out of me. I'm going to physically move these because I need this off the wiper so that I can get in here and tankalate on that when it's up to temp. So PID tune hot end, we're going to select 1, 270 for the temp. So this will start rising pretty quickly. This actually spit out a tad bit of filament. So once again, when we did our upgrades, this had a Orbiter 2 on it. The new kit came with a 2.5, so this is now a 2.5, and I got a second 2.5 that we just installed on this. Well, I installed it yesterday, and we added the filament runout sensors, and we're going to build the RatPack, which is the air filtration. Raid from Polymaker. Hey everybody, welcome on in. Hey Druid, Da Vinci, Ten Talon, Pezliz, welcome back again. Papa Bear Yellnat, Sebastian, Petty Ruxpin, how's it going? Epic Man 340, the Shrimp Father, everybody's back. T-Tiger, how's it going? Bionic, Technoside. Yeah, you never left. Yeah, you were just tab hopping. Yep. Go on or dang, are you kidding? This thing did PID tuning that quickly? Good gracious. Yeah, IDEX RatRig, yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell us to go up to 270 again. So yeah, so I've been running this RatRig since last spring, summer. I was the first one in the US that actually built one that I'm aware of and did any YouTube videos on it. We built it straight off the bat as a hybrid because the plan was always going to do IDEX when it became available. So that's what we did, is we just went through the conversion process of making it an IDEX. Once again, this had a 2.0 orbiter by default. When the new IDEX kit came in, it had a 2.5. So I ordered a new 2.5 so that they were the same. Something about consistency. So I put the 2.5 that came in the IDEX kit over here. This one just got the new one that came in. And we're gonna hot tighten that, just like that. We do have, in the back here is a camera with a light ring, and then what we normally know as a sex bolt. So the camera is used for video assisted, was it VAOC, video assisted optical calibration. And what that's going to do is we're going to use this camera to line up the nozzles side to side, front to back. And then it's got the in-stop plunger, like the sex bolt from a Voron, that will be used to get the Z offset between these two tool heads. Currently, because I know me, the kits come with a 0.4 plated nozzle or a 0.6 hardened nozzle. So that means they're both running 0.6 hardened nozzles. And now that we hot tighten that, I need to put its sock on without pushing it straight up where the nozzle is so that you can burn the heck out of your finger. That'll be a nice 3rd degree burn. We added the filament runout sensors because that's now an upgrade option. I picked those up from KB3D. And we've got the RatPack, which is going to be their charcoal and HEPA filter air filtration system. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been working on. So meanwhile, let me let me do the thing since everybody just came in. Welcome on in, everybody. My name is Digital Dragon, aka Luke. I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. I think just about everybody I saw come in pretty much knows that. We do everything from unboxings like our X1 carbons, the K1C. We recently unboxed the Anycubic Cobra S1 with the Ace Pro. It's actually sitting downstairs right now because I needed the bench space to work on the RatRig. We do a bunch of custom builds like the Vorons over here. We got an LH Stinger. Right off the screen over here is the black box 5-head tool changer that I beta tested the kit on for KB3D. Speaking of beta testing, I was in the beta testing for the box turtle. I've built about 6 or 7 of them now. I got one that's getting ready to go over to Zombie Hedgehog. Yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I build 3D printers. I buy 3D printers. I will do unboxings. I will give my opinions on them after I've used them and put some time on them. But I don't do like full up printer reviews, or I haven't to date. I just recently went through a rebranding. The banner up here still needs to be swapped out to Digital Dragon 3D. That is my new company, and I hope to be not only 3D printing either like printed forward type parts for Vorons or other printers or box turtles, to printing custom parts for people, and you know, material wise and engineering parts, as well as commission 3D printer builds for people. So that's kind of where things are at with me. But welcome on in, everybody. Appreciate you guys coming over, and Polymaker, I really do appreciate you bringing your community over. With that, I'm slide back over here because the RatRig, if you've been here long enough, you know it normally sits right over here on the wall with the black box right next to it. Black box is rolled over here so that I could get full access, to the RatRig. Now that we've got that set up, we're working on going through the commissioning process and recommissioning this printer. If I go over here to history, you'll see that there's 0 stats on it. We had a couple of 100 hours of print time on this, and it got wiped out when I basically wound up having some flashing issues and reflashed everything from the Raspberry Pi to every single toolhead board. So we lost some of that background data. Now that we've got everything done, it says to switch to performance mode. After validating the machine works properly, change the configuration to performance mode. This will boost your speed and increase accuracy. Ensure the electronics enclosure fan is working. It only spins when steppers are moving. It says to navigate down to the configurator, then to the setup wizard, select the hardware tab. Okay, this is going to be fun. Configurator, before we go there, I do a save config. Okay, yeah, looks like I did the save config, so it did save. So configurator, setup wizard, select the hardware tab. Hardware. Oh, just jump down to the hardware selection at the bottom. Okay. All the way down here, and scroll down to activate performance mode. Okay. Not done this. Nothing here should change. I'm just going to make a quick check. Keto plus UHF PT1000, the 0.6 nozzle, beacon probe, physical X and Y end stops, 2, accelerometer, yes, 0.6 nozzle for the second tool head. No probe. Full physical. So you can't, oh, I guess you can. I figured we were going to have to click on advanced before it let us select performance. Okay. Click next. Roll down through this again. Everything's good. RatOS. RatOS is good. Check. Printer config. Review changes. That's going to be probably where the changes will be for performance mode. Pending changes to RatOS. Here. RatOS wants to make the following changes. Might not need these changes. Ready to port your customers. Oh, okay. So the PID stuff, it would change by doing an add. Looks like it would remove the gotcha. We don't need to keep existing. Create initial setup. Blah blah. Open main. Okay. Now I do want to go back into the wow. Look, lots of changes to printer config. I do want to go back into the printer config, and I'm just going to scroll down through here to things like the extruder, make sure that the PID is still commented out. Extruder 1 PID's commented out, heat bed PID's commented out. All the filament sensor stuff is still there, and the VAOC stuff is still there. Got my bed mesh and the PIDs that we did good. So that's good that it did not overwrite that stuff. So good. Calibration, IDEX. RatOS comes with a fully automated beacon model and temperature offset. Extruder and hot end must be clear of filament. Make sure to remove the filament, otherwise the machine will be able to accurately perform this calibration. Heat the nozzles to 280 and tighten them. If you didn't already, be careful. Be very hot. Betas recommends a 2.5 nanometer of torque when hot tightening the Rapido 2 nozzle. Well, I've got a 1.4, not a 2.5. Oops. We'll go with what we got for now. Sorry, folks. I'm going to try and mute you real fast while I cough. Okay, here we go. We're back. What were we doing? We're going to do the installed the flex plate. We're going to run the command beacon RatOS calibrate. We're going to make sure once again that we've got filament knocked off. It did say to heat both nozzles to 280. I don't know if they want us to keep them at 280. The good thing is these will heat up pretty quick as compared to the bed. So Raiders, how was everything over on Polymaker tonight? Were you guys interviewing anybody? By the way, hey D-Matt and Foxy Owly, how are you all doing? I hope everybody is doing great this evening. And Captain, I'm sorry, I got to walk over here to see the other screen. Captain Shifty, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Sorry that I missed that earlier. And you too, Tiger. Like I said, I'm on a weird, normally I'm standing where you saw me when I did my little intro, and I'm kind of very far away from my normal being able to see the screen with the activity alerts. No interview tonight, discussing layout at Rocky Mountain. Ooh. Nice. I'm assuming that they just know that they've got X amount of space and they're trying to plan what that space would look like. Because I don't think they've got a floor plan done up yet, I think. Or at least I don't think they do. For the vendors and stuff. So as I mentioned, I did start a LLC recently, back in November. I will not have a sponsored table at Rocky Mountain because I cannot afford that fee yet. But I am planning on having a sponsored table at Murph, and I don't know what the dollar values are for 3D Printopia, but probably not one there either. So we'll see. I should be at least to a position where I want to try selling stuff at one or both of those shows. So both of these hot ends are up to 280. We did hot tighten them, but we hot tightened them to 1.4 because that's what I have. And it wants us to run this beacon RatOS calibrate. We've got that going, and we will click go. Going to home X and Y. So Y first. X to each side. And as you can see, the accelerations are a little bit hyped up now. If I can't get you a little bit closer in here. Oops, wrong way. There we go. Current hot end temp exceeds maximum allowed, so it's dropping them down. Maximum allowed was 275. Oh, I guess it's not going to drop them down. It just may have errored out. I sort of don't think the hot ends need to be hot at this point. I think it was just telling us to hot tighten them. So I'll go ahead and let those start cooking down. Question is, did it let's go ahead and we'll kick that off again. Taxis are already homed. Going to do initial approach, so it's bringing the bed up. The X and Y were homed. Yeah, I've got to reach out to a couple of people for Rocky Mountain as well. One of the things, I am going to have a table, but one of the things that Mrs. Dragon was asking, or yeah, sort of asking me if I wanted to think about doing it, was doing a build of something at the show. And I thought about potentially like building a box turtle, and like building a box turtle from LDO and letting LDO raffle it off afterwards, right? That was a thought, or raffle it off, not raffle it off, but do a build and then um, have them do their yeah, I haven't run this in performance mode. That's going to be making some annoying sounds. We'll go grab the EP2 grease and grease these up a little bit, especially if we're going to run it in performance mode. But yeah, that would be a thing is see if they're willing to toss in a kit. I'll print all the parts and stuff and bring it with me, build like a box turtle at the show, and then let LDO or if it's KB3D or whoever that gives me a kit can do a drawing for it on the final day. This is a fully automated routine to calibrate the beacon. Okay, now it's heating up the bed to a minimum 85, maximum of 90.